Welcome back everyone. We are now ready to begin with our next session, that is session 2 of day 1. We are excited to have with us Mr. R.B. Bhavsar sir. Welcome sir.
Thank you.
Mr. R.B. Bhavsar sir is a retired executive engineer from MSc DCL. He has completed his diploma BE Electrical LLB, also diploma in yoga teacher. He is gold medalist of Government College of Engineering Amravati. Really, this is a remarkable achievement. He has published 3 research papers in national and international conferences while working in MSc DCL in R&D department. Talking about Bhavsar sir's work experience, he has 20 years experience in training R&D in MSc DCL, 12 years in testing all works regarding EHV and minor substations, 2 years in accident analysis and investigation of accidents, and 8 months he worked as a member secretary in Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum. Mr. R.B. Bhavsar sir has been invited as a guest faculty for conducting franchisee training program organized by REC Hyderabad in 8 different states of India. He delivered training to engineers and technicians in Railway Training Institute, Nasik Road. Also delivered expert talks in different educational organizations. Highly remarkable, he is the member of Institute of Engineers since 1998 and industry expert member for Syllabus Review Committee of MSBTE. Sir is expertise in tremendous topics like power sector scenario of India, regulatory challenges in power sector, troubleshooting in substations, electrical safety practices, Electricity Act 2003, legal provisions and challenges, energy audit, revenue and management, and many more. Today, Sir is sharing knowledge on the topic Challenges in Electrical Power Sector. So, I request Mr. R.B. Bhavsar sir to please start the session.
मुझे बोलते हैं टीचर इस
हो हो हो
गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीबॉडी हे नसलं तुम्ही चालणार का काढा
काढत नसलं तरी चालेल.
चालेल पण काय मला याची सवय नाहीये एकदम इथपर्यंत इथून सिग्नल
ठीक आहे.
गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीबॉडी कॅन यू लिसन मी एक लावतो हा ते लावून द्या. हा नाही हे काय मी आयुष्यात कधीच लावत नाहीये. हे ठीक होईल जरा. म्हणजे काय होईल तिकडचे जे बोलतील ते मला ऐकू येईल ना. याला लावा लागेल ना. दाखवा हॅलो हॅलो कॅन यू हिअर मी. तुम्ही बोला बरं आता.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay.
You're audible.
Thank you very much. Friends, good morning everybody. This is the second session of the first day. And in this particular session, we will be dealing with the challenges in the power sector. we shall be seeing something what has happened in the past. We are going to see what is happening in the present and what can be the future of the Indian power sector. Friends, myself Ratan Kumar Bhavsar, I am B Electrical, LLB, Yoga Pandit. I had been retired as an executive engineer from Department of Training and Safety, Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company Limited, Eklara, Nashik. My email ID is rbratankumar@gmail.com. If you have the pen and the pad, you can definitely write down my email ID so that in future, if you come across any practical difficulties of electrical engineering, anything which is regarding the legal provisions which we face many a times in the life, and the health issues can also be discussed with me on mail. If anybody wants the cell number, that can also be given. Friends, I had served in Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company for around about 35 years. After retirement and prior to retirement also, I was the guest faculty for REC, Rural Electrification Corporation of India, a government organization which conducts different electrical topics and for the DISCOM people all over the country. I am the faculty and course coordinator for different around about all the states of India. I have taken the courses for them. I am also a visiting faculty for IREEN, Railway Electrical Engineering Department at Nashik itself, Eklara, and a guest faculty for round about all the engineering colleges, polytechnic in Nashik region. With this my brief introduction, we shall proceed further. Friends, if you are of the opinion that this session must be an interactive session, I will be very happy. The basic fundamental or the basic concept behind conducting the faculty development program is to bridge the gap between what is happening on the field and what is being going on in the education sector. Education sector has got its own curriculum, and that curriculum has to be completed as per the directives of the central government, state government, whatever it is. While completing that, it is my own experience because I have worked in the training department of Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company. During that, what I observed is whatever the graduates, postgraduates or diploma holders which has been inducted in Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company, we have to impart them training for around about 1.5 months or even more than that. And this is, so far as the industry is concerned, is not expected because it is a costly affair and already we have the shortage of manpower, so it is not possible. So a thought has come that why not to give an expert or what is going on in the industry to the persons who are working in the education department. So accordingly, this is my belief. So with this belief, we will continue. I hope you all are comfortable with this. If anybody of you want to raise a question at any middle time while going on the lecture, it is welcome. However, due to technological issues, if it is not possible, you can write down the question while the lecture is going on, and at the end, round about 15 minutes or even more than that, we will continue with the question answer session. That time also you can ask me. Meanwhile, while going on the lecture, if you ask, that will also be welcome. So far as the Indian power sector is concerned, there are four stakeholders. What I mean to say stakeholders means the persons who are engaged directly or indirectly with the Indian power sector. First is the generation,
as everybody is well aware of
as
that. Second one
everybody
is
is
the
well
transmission.
aware of that. Second one is the transmission.
the
Third one
distribution.
is the distribution. And
The
the
fourth
fourth
space
space
in this
in this particular slide
is
is
left
for your imagination.
What
What can be the fourth?
before
As we have a shortage of time,
instead
of
going
going into the
your
your response,
I
I will like to tell you
that
that the fourth
space
space,
which is left blank
is nothing but the consumer.
means
Generation,
transmission,
transmission, distribution, and consumer.
These are
These are the four stakeholders of Indian power sector. Whatever the generation we are going to generate, that energy has to be transmitted, and discom distribution companies all over the country
is
is distributing electricity for the consumer itself. And so far as the importance is concerned in this particular stakeholders,
I would
I would like to give
at
at most important to the consumer.
So
So what consumer is required,
that
that has to be kept in mind
while
while
planning
planning of the
generation,
generation,
while
transmission
and distribution.
and distribution also.
If the
If the expectations of the consumer
are
are not kept in mind and are not fulfilled, I hope that the Indian power sector will not go in the right direction.
With
With this,
we
we shall go further,
and
and that is
in
in the year 1884,
Thomas
Alva Edison, as all of us know,
that
that he has invented electricity,
and due
and due to that,
a
a bulb was
lighted.
lighted.
On
On the very same day,
he
he has written in his diary
that
that
we
we will make light so cheap that only the rich will be able to burn the candles.
means
Means in future,
round
around about 125 years or even more than that have been already passed,
and
and we are here now
to
to just investigate,
just
just to think
whether
whether
this
this particular dream of Thomas Alva Edison, making electricity very cheap than the candlelight, have been achieved or not. Everybody may have got his own opinion. Everybody may have got his own experience also. Let me clear here one thing, and that is the dream which has been seen 125 years back have been fulfilled as on today. Many of us may think now that especially in Maharashtra,
the
the tariff of electricity for consumers,
may
maybe a residential consumer, maybe a industrial consumer, is very high. And how still I am going to narrate that yes, light is cheaper than the candle. One thing is always there, that is whatever the tariff we are now paying for the electricity all over the country can be reduced or not. Yes,
This
this
is a
is a
debatable
debatable
question.
question.
This
This
is a
is a
debatable
debatable
question.
question.
And
And
to my
to my
experience and
experience
your
and your
experience
experience
also,
also,
there are
there are
chances
chances
by
by
which
which
we
we
will
will
make
make
this
this
particular
particular
tariff
tariff
still
still
lower
lower
than
than
whatever we
whatever
are
we are
paying.
paying.
How
How
that we'll
that we'll
see
see
in
in
coming
coming
future,
future,
in
in
coming
coming
slides.
slides.
Friends, there are some
Friends,
interesting
there are
facts so
some
far as the
interesting facts
electricity
so
is
far as the
concerned.
electricity is concerned.
5,000 years
5,000
back,
years back,
Maharishi
Maharishi
Kanar
Kanar
invented
invented
electricity
electricity
and he
and he
narrated it
narrated
at
it
30.
at 30.
Today
Today
also,
also,
in
in
Sanskrit,
Sanskrit,
in
in
Hindi,
Hindi,
the
the
lightning
lightning
arrestor
arrestor
is called
is
as
called
the
as the
Tadit
Tadit
Chala.
Chala.
This
This
Tadit
Tadit
word
word
has come
has come
from
from
Maharishi Kanar.
Maharishi Kanar.
Thereafter,
Thereafter,
2000 years
2000
back,
years back,
in
in
Greek,
Greek,
Amber
Amber
or
or
Electra was
Electra was
invented.
invented.
We all
We all
know
know
that in
that in
1749,
1749,
Benjamin
Benjamin
Franklin
Franklin
invented
invented
electricity,
electricity,
produced root
produced root
friction.
to friction.
This
This
particular
particular experience,
experiment rather,
experiment rather,
we have
we
done
have done
at our
at our
age
age
7, 8,
7,
9,
8,
10th
9, 10th
class.
class.
In
In
1887,
1884
was the
was the
year
year
which has
which has
given
given
a new
a new
dimension
dimension
to
to
electricity.
electricity.
Till
Till
that,
that,
electricity was
electricity
there,
was there,
Tadit was
Tadit
there,
was there,
but
but
it was
it
of
was of
no
no
use
use
so far as
so
the
far as the
common man is
common man is
concerned.
concerned.
So,
So
Thomas Alva
Thomas Alva
Edison have
Edison have
worked over it,
worked over it,
and
and
he
he
invented
invented
to
to
light the
light the
lamp
lamp
with the help
with the
of
help of
electricity.
electricity.
From that
From that
1884,
1884,
the
the
electrical
electrical
engineers,
engineers,
rather the
rather the
electrical
electrical
sector,
sector,
a
a
power
power
sector has
sector
not
has not
turned back.
turned back.
It is
It
going
is
ahead
going
and
ahead
ahead.
and ahead only.
It is
It
very
is very
interesting to
interesting to
know
know
that
that
India's
India's
first
first
hydroelectric power
hydroelectric power
plant was
plant was
established
established
in the
in
year
the year
1897
1897
at
at
Darjeeling
Darjeeling
and was
and was
having a
having a
capacity of
capacity of
185
185
kilowatts
kilowatts
only.
only.
Please
Please
give your
give your
attention
attention
to
to
185
185
kilowatts.
kilowatts.
The
The
installed
installed
capacity of
capacity of
India
India
was
was
185
185
kilowatts.
kilowatts.
We cannot
We cannot
imagine even
imagine even
why this
why
has
this has
happened.
happened.
One of the
One of the
reason
reason
is
is
that time
that time
India was
India
under
was under
British rule,
British rule,
and
and
it is
it is
always
always
there
there
that
that
all the
all the
rulers,
rulers,
they
they
don't
don't
want to
want
pass
to
on
pass on
the
the
comforts
comforts
to the
to the
citizens.
citizens.
This is
This
one
is one
reason.
reason.
And
And
second
second
reason,
reason,
so far
so
as the
far as the
technological
technological
development is
development is
concerned,
concerned,
that to
that to
that
that
up to
up to
1887,
1887,
there was
there
no
was
any
no any
technical
technical
development in
development in
India.
India.
Now,
Now,
if
if
I
I
say
say
185
185
kilowatt was
kilowatt was
only
only
the
the
installed
installed
capacity,
capacity,
it is
it is
now
now
the
the
requirement
requirement
of a
of a
three-story
three-story
building
building
living
living
only
only
three
three
families
families
in
in
India.
India.
Going
Going
further,
further,
in
in
1947,
1947,
all
all
India
India
installed
installed
generating
generating
capacity was
capacity was
1300
1300
megawatt.
megawatt.
Why
Why
I am
I am
giving all
giving
these
all these
figures to
figures to
you?
you?
Because
Because
to
to
understand what is
understand
the
what is the
challenge
challenge so far as
the
the
generation is
generation is
concerned,
concerned
can be
can be
identified,
identified,
and
and
how to
how to
overcome it
overcome it
can
can
be
be
thought
thought
of.
of it.
Why I
Why
have
I
given
have
the
given the
figure
figure
in
in
1947?
1947?
Because
Because
that
that
time
time
India
India
became
became
independent.
independent.
So
So
at
at
the
the
time of
time of
independence, we
independence,
were
we were
having
having
1300
1300
megawatt as
megawatt
a
as a
installed
installed
capacity.
capacity.
Talking
Talking
about
about
2025,
2025, The India all India installed generating capacity is 466 gigawatt. This particular thing from 1300 to 466 gigawatt is definitely the achievement of the Indian nationals, the government, the engineers, and all of them. Out of this 466 gigawatt as a installed capacity, the renewable energy is 2009 gigawatt. In 23-24, 9,943 megawatt was added. We all know that there are two kinds of generations. One is called as the renewable energy, and another one is called as the regular energy. Regular energy is not the correct word. We can say the energy generated from the fossil fuels. We all are facing now the climate change, and due to this climate change, we have to shift our generation from fossil fuels and other to the renewable energy. At present, there is no electrical deficit in India. So far as talking the tariff, I have already said that yes, there is a chance for reducing the tariff. I would like to tell you that from 2005 till 2005 rather, the transmission and distribution loss was about 65%. And now, all over India, it is 27.2. In last 3 years, government has given emphasis on this, and the loss has still reduced to 24% now. What is the standard transmission and distribution loss all over the country? We have seen it is 25%. And what is this particular quantum so far as the globe is concerned? I would like to tell you that transmission and distribution loss must not be more than 10%. It should be less than 10% or maximum 10%. So from 10% to 25%, this is 15% loss we have to reduce. And this is the big challenge so far as the distribution company is concerned. No doubt, this particular loss is from generation to the consumer end. From generation to the consumer end. If we could succeed to bring our transmission and distribution loss to 10%, and it is possible. It is possible. With the dedicated way and the dedicated efforts, this loss can be reduced. If we can come down from 65% to 25%, we can also definitely come down from 25% to 10%. So far as the renewable energy is concerned, the rooftop capacity is 637 gigawatt. Rooftop solar is 11.08 gigawatt as of December 2023, and target was 40 gigawatt by 2020. Rooftop by residential sector is 2.7 gigawatt, 40 gigawatt target by 2026. Why I am giving these particular details to you? Because it is a big challenge so far as the generation is concerned. And rather, the power sector is concerned, it's a very typical sector. What I mean to say typical sector, as other sectors are there, communication sector is there, medical sector is there, manufacturing sector is there are many sectors. Power sector is one of them. And the biggest challenge before all the electrical engineers is that whatever the generation we do, we have to use it instantly. What I mean to say? I mean to say that if the generation, the power generation of 100 megawatt has been done at 2 o'clock, it has to be consumed at 2 o'clock only. Because we don't have any means to store the electrical energy at masses. To the best of my knowledge, the only way electrical energy can be stored is in the chemical form, and that is battery. And the constraint of the battery is we cannot store the electricity at masses. So we have to use it at that moment only. And till 5 years back, our generation was mostly a fossil fuel, as coal generation was there. And due to coal generation, there was a carbon emission. And this carbon emission was a very troublesome so far as the India is concerned and the globe is concerned. So, at the international level, it has been decided that the carbon footprint of every nation should be reduced. India has also signed on that treaty. And now, it is biggest challenge before the generation sector that we have to shift from conventional energy to the renewable energy. Because conventional energy has got the carbon generation, more carbon generation. Renewable energy, there is no any carbon generation, or whatever the carbon generation is there is minimal one. So shifting from conventional energy to the renewable energy is a big challenge so far as India is concerned. We are trying for that. We are trying for that. The central government has allocated specific fund for this. And that's why you will see that solar rooftop with the subsidy, the government subsidy has already been started and people are taking benefit of it. This is one thing. But what is the challenge in so far as the generation is concerned? The biggest challenge is when the renewable energy is available, the consumption in that particular time of energy is comparatively less. I will narrate it further, and that is our peak demands are from 6 o'clock in the morning or 5:30 in the morning to 8:30 or 9 o'clock. This is the peak demand, means maximum consumer use electricity during this particular period. Okay? And what is the second peak then? The second peak is again at 6 o'clock in the evening to 9 or 10 o'clock in the night. And the renewable energy, especially the solar, is not available at this particular time. So whatever the renewable energy we are generating, solar or wind or whatever the type may be, that has to be utilized during the daytime, and for the night or the two peaks, morning peak and evening peak, we have to rely on conventional energy only. Because, as I have narrated already, that there is no any chance for storage of electricity at bulk level. This is the basic fundamental and a challenge for every electrical engineer. What is the second challenge? The second challenge is the meters are with the consumers. Means whatever the energy we generate, we transmit it, we distribute it, and the distribution company has to collect the bills as per the consumption of every consumer. And these particular meters are with the consumers. This is the second biggest challenge before the distribution sector. And third thing, which is more important than this is payment afterwards. In the electrical power sector, if I generate right now, I will get the money of the power utilized at the end of the month, because consumer pay at the end of the month. So this is a business in which technical expertise is needed, no doubt. But more than technical expertise, the commercial expertization is needed. Power sector is a techno-commercial business, and in techno-commercial business, what are the commercial aspects so far as the power sector is concerned that we have to give importance to that also. It is what I mean to say is this is not the business like railway do. This is not the business like manufacturers do. This is not the business like the medicos do. In all these sectors, what happens? Before I boarding the train, I have to purchase the ticket. Before I have boarding to bus, I have to pay and purchase the ticket. So this business is comparatively less challenges because money is already received. In power sector, money is received at the end of the month, and consumer will pay then and then only when the consumer satisfaction index will be high. That's why I say that the commercial aspect in the power sector is more important than the technical one. Going further, we shall see in the world there is no power to 2 billion population. We all are enjoying the comforts which is available due to availability of electricity. But this thing is not available to 2 billion population in world. In India also 100 million population has got power. The persons who are residing in the dense forest and those who cannot pay the tariff are also deprived of use of electricity. So far as the renewable energy is concerned, 57% is the percentage of solar energy of total, 32% is the wind energy, small hydro is 3%, waste energy is 1%, and biomass energy is 7%. And now we are going to focus on wind and solar more than other sectors so far as the renewable energy is concerned. Going further, so far as the transmission is concerned. Now, for your information, I would like to tell you that in India there is one nation, one grid. Previously, it was not like that. Means it in 90s or 2000 rather, even rather 2005 up to 2005 even, there were 5 grids in India, and those grids were interconnected. Central grid was there, east grid was there, north grid was there, west grid was there, northeast was there, and so on. What I mean to say, all the generations in the western side of the India were connected to western grid. All the south side state of India were connected to southern grid. North side Indian state were connected. And what was the problem which was faced in that particular system? In that particular system, the problem was said that if for this reason or that reason, any state is facing the shortage of power, it was not available immediately. And hence the grid failure was, the percentage of grid failure was very high. Now, we hardly heard the phenomena of grid failure because now, due to the one nation, one grid, rather we are going further stage, and that is we are now establishing the international grid. The nations which are neighbor of Indian boundary, they will be connected in the international grid. And whenever any nation requires the electricity power, that can be transmitted to that grid. In India, now power can be transmitted from any point of India to any point. What I mean to say, for example, due to failure of power generations, this is an example, in Maharashtra, the demand is more and supply is less. Under that circumstances, we can take the supply where from the south or north states, where the generation is more and demand is less. So our grid is very much stable now. And what is the challenges for the transmission network then? The challenges before the transmission network is our transmission network should be in such a capacity that any kind of electricity, any amount of electricity shall be able to transfer from one point to another point at any point of time. The figures are before you. In 2019, 20, 2021, 21, 22, 23, 24, the addition in transmission line capacity was 1100, 1600, 1400, 1400. And addition of transmission capacity was 6800, 68,230 MVA, 57,575 MVA, and so on. So far as the transmission is concerned, the challenges are very less. Only one challenge is before them, and that they have to establish the transmission line by which we can able to transmit power from one end to another end. For that, transmission line length and the capacity is important, and addition of transformer capacity is the challenge before the transmission line. So far as the billion unit generation is concerned, we are now having adequate billion of generation. Projected all India installed capacity by 21-23, 21-31, 20-31-32. That nuclear power, coal and ignite fuels must not be more than 29%, solar 40%, hydro 7%, pump storage 3%, wind 2%, and small hydro is 1%. This is what is the planning of Central Electricity Authority of India till 31-32. So far as the transmission sector is concerned, from 2013-14 to 2020-21, the data is the central sector, state sector, and private sector. So far as generation is concerned, in generation, some of the power stations are owned by private persons, some of the power stations are owned by the central government, and some of the power stations are owned by the state government. Same is the case with the transmission utility. In transmission utility, central and state sector is having maximum kilometer of transmission lines, and private sector is having very few, that is 31,872 kilometer as a transmission. Friends, the power sector is very much related or connected with the growth of India. Our beloved Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is saying that India will be the third economy in the world. And to achieve this particular position, what is the generation required? If we want 8 GDP growth rate and 9 GDP growth rate. So far as 26-27 is concerned, if we want 9% GDP growth rate, 522 gigawatt energy installed capacity should be there. That is the peak demand. We have not achieved till today. However, for 8% GDP growth rate, our installed capacity is okay. What will be the requirement in 30-31? The requirement of 30-31, if 9% GDP is there, 733 and 592. Here, a question will come to everybody's mind that this GDP has direct relation with the power generation, rather the installed capacity or the peak demand of the state, nation. If we could not meet the peak demand, under that circumstances, the manufacturing sector will be sluggish and that GDP will not be achieved. Friends, we always compare ourselves with China. In all sense. Basically, three criteria are there where we compare with China. We won't compare ourselves with US, UK, Europe, etc. The basic reason behind it is the population of Europe, America, England is comparable, is not comparable so far as India is concerned. We are now achieved 140 crore as a population. The China is also having a comparable population. They have a 137 crore and so on. India is number one. 2 years back, China was number one. So population is one of the concern thing which is very much similar to China and India. This is one thing. Second, what is important, and that is the independence. India got independence in 1947. China got independence in 1949. From the same ruler. That is British. China was also occupied by British. India was also occupied by British. And the third thing, which is most important, is both are the Asian countries. So far as the power sector is concerned, in 1950, our installed capacity was 1.6 gigawatt. And China's installed capacity was 1.8 gigawatt. In 2002, China's installed capacity was 338 gigawatt. India was having 104 gigawatt. What it indicates? It indicates that China, for the same population as of India, was generating 3 times more than India. And now thinking over it, what the generation will do? This generation, this X generation, which is more, was or rather more in China, was utilized to produce the goods. That's why today also, and since 20-25 years, we find most of the goods are made in China. Had this been reversed, since India was having a 3 times more generation than China, the scenario would have been different. What would have been the scenario at that time? The scenario would have been all over the globe, Indian manufactured goods were available. Today also, China's installed capacity is more than 3 times India. Going further, so far as the loss is concerned, this is one of the major concern. Rather, the challenge before the power sector, generation, transmission, distribution, all of them. This is the data of 2007. The developing countries and the developed countries. If we see the slide, you will find that India was having the loss of 35%, 32-33, and China was having 6%, 7%, less than 10%. What I mean to say, this particular thing is, if 100 units are generated in India, only 75 units are received by the consumer. And if the same generation is made in China, you will find that round about 94, 93 units are received by the consumer. This is the big challenge. We have to think ourselves, what is going wrong? Because whatever the technology is concerned, rules, regulations are concerned, and the fundamentals of electricity are concerned, are same in China and India. They don't differ. What I mean to say, in India, the generation is the renewable energy and the regular energy. There also they have some renewable energy. They have also the plants. Those plants are more efficient than us. Then comes the transmission. Our transmission loss ranges from 1% to 4%. Their transmission loss ranges less than 1%. And the biggest loss which is happening in India is the distribution sector. So we have to give our all focus towards the distribution. Previously, means up to 20, rather 2000, this particular loss was treated as only the technical loss. That's why the term has called T&D, transmission and distribution. As the day have passed and more challenges have come before the generation, transmission, distribution, the term has changed. And now the term which is used is AT&C loss, aggregated, transmission and commercial. What is the difference between these two? Please try to understand. I will give one example. That I am the sectional head of one section, or you can think of one district. Suppose Nasik district. And this is an example. And I am receiving a power of 100 units. This is the example. And now this 100 units received by me as a DISCOM people, I have to distribute it to the consumer. At the end of the month, when I calculate what is the energy consumption, total energy consumption by all the consumers, I found it to be 25. To be 75 units. So directly 25 units loss is there. Because DISCOM people has to pay for each and every unit they have purchased from generation. Furthermore, by giving 25 units, 75 units to the consumer, at the end of the month, how much money I received? I found that I received only the cost of 65% unit. That is 65 units. So now, my AT&C loss will be 25 plus 10, that is 35. And what is the technical loss, T&D loss? T&D loss is 20. And this all thing happening due to the lacunas so far as the meter reading is concerned, computation of the energy is concerned, and many more things. That is the biggest challenge so far as the DISCOM is concerned. Coming to per capita consumption. In India, per capita consumption is 1,331 units. Compared to other nations, Canada is 17,000. Our late President, Honorable APJ Abdul Kalam, was saying that by 2020, India will be a developed nation. We are in 25 today. And to become a developed nation, there are certain criteria. One criteria is how much per capita consumption is there. So what we have to do now? We have to increase the per capita consumption of electricity in India. To increase the per capita consumption of India, the life of a common man should be uplifted from what he is living. The industry which is producing different kinds of goods and many more. Going further, friends, the power sector of India is governed with the law. The first law was the Indian Electricity Act 1910. After independence, it was changed, and the Electricity Supply Act was 1948. In 1998, the Electricity Regulatory Commission Act came. Why the change have been there? The basic reason behind it is that in 1910, very less consumer was there, and as the benefits of utilization of electricity was experienced by the common man, they were demanding more electricity. However, the private sector could not meet it. So there was a gap between the demand and supply. After independence, Government of India thought that to bridge this particular gap, the power sector should be governed by government only, no private person. It was thought at that time. And on the basis of that, in 1948, Electricity Supply Act was created. In this particular act, power generation, transmission, and distribution, all these three functions was allocated to the State Electricity Board. Accordingly, all over the country, all the states have created the board. One thing has happened in this particular, one thing positive has happened in this particular act, and that is the network of electricity has reached to the consumers in rural area also. Till that, electricity was only available in the urban area. Furthermore, as the time passed, this particular model, government owned model, also failed because the demand and supply gap was increased. What was the reason? Why the demand and supply was mismatched? The basic reason was the tariff was not decided properly. And as tariff was not there, money was not received by the government. So there was no money for investment for the generation. I would like to tell you that time also and today also. If I want to generate 1 megawatt of power, around about 6 to 7 crore rupees capital investment is required. And all the governments, state governments, rather, of that era failed to do it. What was the outcome of it? The outcome of it was there was a load shedding. This is past. Load shedding. Due to load shedding, the power was not available, and hence the industry and development of India was stuck. Government of India has noticed this and they have decided to change it. Because in India, if at all you want to do something, you cannot go beyond the law. Law was not allowing the private person to generate the electricity, and government was unable to generate electricity. This mesh was there. So in 1991, that time Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and the Finance Minister Manmohan Singh have decided that India will adopt the globalization policy, and hence globalization policy was adopted. The outcome of globalization policy was that the private sector participation in generation, transmission and distribution was allowed. It was not allowed immediately. It was allowed subsequently. And meanwhile, Government of India thought that to regularize the tariff, a electricity regulatory tariff commission should be decided. So in 1948, electricity regulatory commission was established, and ultimately in 2003, the government of India has come with the Electricity Act 2003. This act is a remarkable act. All the previous three acts, that is 1910, 48 and 1998, are repealed. And now all power sector, generation, transmission, distribution, whatever it may be, and even the consumers are governed with the provisions of Electricity Act 2003. What was the main objective behind it? It was encourage private sector participation in generation, transmission and distribution. The outcome is with us today. In 2000, even the metros was having 6 to 8 hours load shedding, and now India is surplus power generation. how this has happened and why this has happened? The answer is Electricity Act 2003. After that, Electricity Act 2003, the private persons have started generating power because they were having money. And to compete them, government has also to increase their generation. This was the generation. So as on today, so far as the generation is concerned, it is up to the mark. However, the cost of generation is again a debatable part, and that is the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge before the generation is the renewable energy is available in the morning or the daytime, and the conventional energy is to be reduced in daytime. In the night time, the conventional energy has to increase because there is no renewable power. So, with the more investment, their profit is less. How to meet this particular gap? The power generation is struggling. Power generation is struggling. And many of the conventional generation are now shifting to renewable power so that their loss in conventional energy can be reduced. This is the biggest challenge so far as the generation is concerned. So far as the transmission is concerned, transmission should be in line with the generation and the demand. In the demand. And the biggest challenge is with the distribution sector. What distribution sector has to do? Purchase the power from the generation, pay the wheeling charges to the transmission, make the electricity available to the consumers, and collect the bills from the consumers and pay all the charges to generation and distribution. Generation and transmission. Now, as there are different institutions, means private power generation is there, government power generation is there, central power generation is there, state power generation is there, state transmission lines are there, central power transmission lines are there, private power transmission lines are there, and state distribution, state government distributor and private distributors are there. It is ought to be differences and opinion and conflicts between these two. How to resolve the conflicts? So there should be some mechanism, and that mechanism is distancing the regulatory responsibilities from government to regulatory commission. To resolve all the differences, all the problems of all the four sectors, that is generation, transmission, distribution and consumer, formation of regulatory commission is there. And in every state, there is a regulatory commission. The function of the regulatory commission is at par of the judiciary. It is experience of the common man in India that government machinery does not work impartially. It is experience. And if this has happened in power sector, it will ultimately impact the growth of the nation. To avoid that, the regulatory commission has been established. In regulatory commission, three persons are there. Three-person bench is there, and any dispute has to be brought before the regulatory commission, and they will decide. And their order is final. If at all you want to change the challenge the regulatory commission, you have to go to ombudsman and so on. Supreme Court is definitely the last authority so far as any legal dispute in India. What this regulatory commission does? This regulatory commission allows the power generation to sell power at a particular rate, not more than that. So tariff has been decided for generation, tariff has to be decided for transmission and distribution. Without the permission of the regulatory commission, distribution company cannot charge a single NP to the consumer. This is the power of regulatory commission. And if at all any disputes are there, they are being resolved on the merit. With this, what has happened in generation? Generation is being delicensed. Means, if at all anybody wants to establish a power plant, no permission is required. You can definitely. Lakhs of power plants have been established without any license and getting subsidy in case of solar power plants. Rooftop solar is one of the example of that. They have only to follow the CES technical standard, as this particular power generation has to be connected to the grid. CES permission required for hydroelectric power project. Generation company can supply power to any licensee or any consumer. Captive generation is there, own generation for own use provision is there, right to open access for transmission and distribution to destination of its use. This is an important provision. What to mean by right to open access? I am a consumer from Maharashtra. I am getting now supply from Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company at the rate, suppose 7 rupees per unit. I have industry, and now a power producer, means a generating station from MP, UP or whatever it may be, they are offering power to me for 7 rupees per unit. What should I do? As a consumer, it is definitely my right that I can purchase the power from the person who is selling power at lowest rate. This particular thing in business is called as competition. So your rate should be competitive. Now the problem in this particular sector is, suppose a MP power generation is there, they are offering 5 rupees per unit, and here in Maharashtra I am getting, but there is no any network of that particular company. So how I can purchase power and feed to my equipment? So the law says that whatever the network I am utilizing, I will have to pay only the wheeling charges as decided by the regulator. And friends, I would like to tell you that this particular competition between the power producer itself is benefited ultimately to the consumers. To the consumers. So right to open access means I must have the access to all the networks and they should not discriminate it. Discrimination means a person from this caste or creed, this state or that state should not be favored. And it is perfectly operating in India. And the cooperative societies can generate for their own members. What has happened in transmission utility? In transmission central level and state level, there are the transmission utilities. Private transmission lines are also there. Power producer and distributors have non-discriminatory open access to use transmission network. The transmission network cannot say that I will not allow your power. There is a provision for private transmission line. There is a direct commercial relationship between generating company and consumer. This has been happened. And then the question will come, how to measure the electricity passing through different networks and different amount of energy. So for that, in the law itself, load dispatch center is established. At national level, load dispatch center is there. At state level, load dispatch center. And the function of the load dispatch center is to monitor the grid operations. Means all over India, there should not be a situation where the people are not getting the power due to technical problems in the grid. So this they have to ensure. And I would like to tell you that these load dispatch centers are working very nicely and very efficiently. Due to that only, since 10 to 15 years, there is a hardly failure of grid. If any state is drawing power more than what is allocated to it, they are fined. More charges they have to pay. And if any state which is utilizing power less than their requirement, they are awarded. And the grid operations have been regulated, monitored with the rules and regulations. And the third thing, which is more important, is to maintain account of electricity transmitted locally. Now, each and every consumer, state will get how much amount of electricity, how much units they receive from different power generations through different transmission networks. This has been happened. And it is very interesting that real-time data is available in the load dispatch center. I will definitely request all of you that to see the load dispatch center and working of the load dispatch center is a marvelous experience. You can observe visiting the load dispatch center that we state at this particular time what is the penalty in rupees they have to pay. I will definitely appeal to all that Please take your students to the load dispatch center, see them, experience them, so that they will be able to know the power of the communication technology and the modern technology. Further going, there are power exchanges in India, and they are working since 2008. It is very much similar to the stock exchange of India. If anybody wants to purchase a share of some company, you can definitely purchase. If the demand is more, the share price rises high. If the demand is less, share prices come down. Same is the case with these power exchanges in India. There are two established in Delhi: India Energy Exchange Limited and Power Exchange India Limited. How their working is going on? Suppose I am a power producer, I am a generation company, and in this 24 hours I am expecting that 10 megawatt power is excess with me. There is no any buyer power. So I will go and register with the power exchange that I have for today 24 hours. I have 10 megawatt energy excess for sale. Then what will happen? In the different discoms or even a private person, if you want the energy, he will go to the exchange and say that I want for this particular 24 hours only 5 megawatt energy. What is the rate? So if total amount of energy which is excess is less than the demand, suppose 10 megawatt is the availability and 20 megawatt is the demand, rate will go high. And if the reverse case is there, means demand is 5 megawatt and availability is 25 megawatt. At that time, I will tell you that the energy rate may decrease to 1 rupee per unit. So any person who is expert in this particular can purchase the power at low rate. This is the benefit of power exchanges in India. At regulatory commission, I have told you that there is a central regulatory commission at central level. All the establishments of central, that is NTPC, NHPC, power generations, then transmission lines, central transmission lines, they come under the regulatory commission of central. In the state, there is a regulatory commission. Suppose MS Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company is there, Maharashtra is there. MERC, Maharashtra State Regulatory Commission is there. For Kerala, it will be Kerala Electricity Regulatory Commission. Appellate tribunal is there for electricity to hear appeals. If I am not satisfied with the order of the regulatory commission of state level or central level, whatever it may be, I can go to the appellate tribunal, and ultimately the aggrieved party can go to Supreme Court. Friends, what regulatory commission has to do? Regulatory commission has to decide the tariff first. This is the most important thing. And they have to decide all the complaints made by them. The Electricity Act 2003 came in India keeping in mind that there should be a competition between the generations, transmissions and distributions. as it is in communication industry. We have seen that if Reliance Jio makes the plan cheaper, the next day Airtel also makes their plan cheaper, because nobody wants to lose the consumer. Fortunately or unfortunately, this has not come in electricity sector, power sector. Because nowadays, how the tariff is decided? Tariff is decided, the distribution company says that my expenditure is so and so. Today I am getting this much revenue, and revenue gap of demand and supply is 100 crore. It is verified, and if all the data submitted by the distribution company is okay, the regulatory commission use power or order to recover 100 crore rupees from the consumer proportionately. And in distribution, in real sense, there is no competition in real sense. However, they are working very hard for satisfaction of their consumers. But still, in India, the satisfaction level is very low. The reason being two: one, whatever the professionals are there, they do not discharge their duties professionally, and second, theft of electricity and illegal methods to use the electricity still remains a more problem. People are working very hard. We are getting some positive signs also, but still we have to go a very long path. To decrease the AT&C losses to 10% is very a difficult task. And for that particular thing, two things are required. One, technological development is required. At the same time, the professionals should work professionally. For this particular, I would like to tell you that the government has come up with RDSS scheme. You might have heard it, you might not have. In this particular thing, the government of India has given 1 lakh free 1 lakh crore, even 1 lakh, more than 1 lakh crore for expenditure of enhancing the technology and everything. What is the problem in the distribution? The distribution problem is whatever the energy is utilized by the consumer is known at the end of the month. Because whatever the meters we are utilizing are not the smart meters. You all may be reading, hearing that now the government of Maharashtra is going to install the smart meters to every consumer. What are these smart meters? Let me tell you. These smart meters are the meters which will communicate. The meter will communicate to the company, and company will communicate to the meter. Prepaid meter are the same meters. Means, if you are utilizing a certain amount of power that immediately real-time data will be received by the company. And at the same time, what is the supply, number of units supplied to a particular area is also known to the company. So, company will try to find out where is the loss. Definitely, there is a opposed to the smart meters all over the country because people do not like this. But one or the day it has to happen. Revamp distribution scheme. This particular government have come. And in this scheme, benchmarking is there. Then what is your today's position? By giving such and such amount of funds to you, what will be your situation in data? Accordingly, you will be. If the satisfaction is there, the improvement is there, whatever the funds are given, they will be subsidy to you. And if it is not there, then it will be a loan for the company. Already, all over India, this RDSS scheme has started over a period of time. The fruits of it, we will know. Even in the smart meters, the prepaid system is also incorporated. As our mobile is there, we take a plan for 28 days. On the 20th of the day, prior to that 2 days, 3 days, we get a message that your plan is going to end on such and such day. Same messages you will receive in power sector also. This is RDSS. Moving further in the distribution licensee will be there. Government will give the license to them. Sorry, Regulatory Commission will give the license to them, and accordingly they have to work. The license can be granted for more than one area. License can be granted for a specified area. There can be two licenses in the same area. But this particular situation is not still came in India, not even in Maharashtra. What is then? State Commission to give directives to progressively reduce surcharge and cross subsidy to be eliminated. The ultimate aim of this particular act and the Regulatory Commission is how a consumer will get a better supply, better services at the lowest cost. And a distribution license licensee to establish a forum for redressal of grievances of the consumer. If the consumer has got any grievance, you can go there. At the state level, ombudsman on the rural and remote area, standalone system is there, panchayats are also there. For implementation of this reorganization of the board, all these things have been already happened. If theft of electricity is to be investigated, authorized persons of employees are only entitled to get the theft investigated. Establishment of special court is still under the pipeline. It has not come in picture. Offences and penalties. This part was not there in 1948 Act. 100% metering should be within 2 years. If any consumer found stealing electricity, a 5 years imprisonment is there, plus penalty for whatever the energy he has utilized unauthorized. Only persons authorized by government can inspect the premises of the consumers. Licensee personnel are liable for punishment if found engaged in theft. Special court to be established. Theft can be compounded by authorized person. What do you mean by this? Compounding of theft is similar to the powers granted by the Constitution to the President or the government. The court has given the order that this particular person has committed a murder and it has been proved and the person is given the death punishment, that is hanging. However, if that particular person goes to the President of India and asks pardon for him on the grounds, and if President of India thinks yes, whatever the grounds he is asking the pardon are right, the government of India has the power to reduce his punishment. Same is the case of theft of electricity. If a person is found committing theft of electricity and he has been sent to jail, under that circumstances, the person can ask for compounding of the electricity. Means, instead of going to the jail, he can ask the government of particular state that I am ready to pay some extra amount which is decided by the Regulatory Commission and Government of Maharashtra or the state government to pay, and only my penalty of imprisonment shall be stopped. The government has got the power and he will not be sent to jail. This particular provision is called as compounding of theft and it is available once in a lifetime, not second time. Offense of theft of electricity is cognizable and non-variable. Means the offense of theft, if made a complaint, police has to take the complaint cognizable and police cannot grant the bail. The bail has to be granted if thought right by the court only. So, with the strict provisions, it is expected that the electricity theft will be decreased. No doubt, we are on the path, but still, we have to go a long way. Because the absence of technological advancement so far as the metering is concerned and some consumers are taking benefit of it. If all the meters are smart meters, in smart meter, at what point of time, what kind of energy is being stolen or theft has been committed, is immediately conveyed to the company. So that company will take right action and further theft of electricity will be. So, in short, summarizing today's session, I will definitely say that from shifting conventional energy to renewable energy is a big challenge. And while this shift, the cost of generation should be less. This is the big challenge so far as the generation is concerned. And seeing the future demand means EV vehicles are coming. Then due to climate change, the use of air conditioners has increased. And many more things has put a challenge before the generation that the generation should be adequate and at the same time affordable. So far as the transmission is concerned, the big challenge is they have to establish a network all over the country from one point to another point of the country. Any amount which is required must be able to get transmitted at the low electrical loss level and at minimum wheeling charges. So far as the distribution is concerned, the challenges are more. The first challenge is to satisfy the consumer so far as the services are concerned. Because nowadays, all the consumers are saying that you take the money, you charge the money, but give me the services properly. Uninterrupted supply is the demand of the consumers, expectation of the consumer. The energy which I have received should not be infected one. Means harmonics generation, harmonics free energy I should get. At the low price, I should get the energy. The measurement of the energy should be reasonable one. And I must get the connection without any harassment. And doing all this, the challenge before the company, that is DISCOM, is how to minimize the losses. There are some technical lacunas, there are some commercial lacunas. One by one, eliminating the lacunas, I hope, I believe that all the DISCOMs will be able to bring the transmission and distribution losses, or rather the AT&C loss, up to 10% or even below that. And if the loss is reduced, it will definitely reflect in the cheaper electricity, which is again in the benefit to the customers. With this, friends, I would like to conclude this particular session. I hope you might have got some inputs from this. I expect that these inputs you will definitely pass on to your students. And it is expected from the industry that a skilled engineers will be available in future to industry. With my own experience, I will definitely like to say you that there is no scarcity of the jobs. Only the problem is whatever the applicants are there, job seekers are there, they are not getting the skills which is required. They don't have the skills which is required. I will give one example to you and then we will conclude. If I take any of the engineer, graduate, postgraduate, diploma holder, in the electrical panel of 33 by 11 kV substation or 220 kV substation or even the generating station, 90% of the students will not be able to tell me which wire carries what. And it ultimately reflects on the fault finding or attending the troubleshootings. Troubleshooting is having a different topic. In future, if I get a chance, I would like to talk to all of you on that topic also. Thank you. Thank you very much. And at the last, if any questions are there, you are free to ask me any doubts, any questions which you might have come in this particular session, or even you might not have come in this particular session. Thank you. Thank you very much. आता हेच प्रेझेंटेशन बंद करून टाकतो. ओके, मग हे सगळे लोक कसे काय दिसतील आपल्याला?
Dear participants, if you have any questions and thoughts, please feel free to share.
Any query, doubt? हे लोक सगळे दिसतात ना असे याच्यात? सगळे पार्टिसिपंट इथे दिसतील का? तिकडे बसलो नाही तर काय, तिकडे दिसत असं ना. कारण आता याची काही गरज नाही आपल्याला. काय मोबाईल मध्ये पण चालू आहे? मोबाईल मध्ये चालू आहे ना, चालू करावं लागेल का? आले का?
Yes, any doubt?
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. I am sure all our participants have gained incredible knowledge and idea from this session. One more announcement for the participants. The feedback link for today's session is showed in a chat box and in a WhatsApp group. Please fill the feedback form. Thank you once again to everyone for joining us virtually today. We look forward to stay connected tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the new session of day 2. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
झालं का हे?